Good morning. A nice, how sweet to hear that. A nice and fresh morning to all of you. So I hope you all are doing fine. How are you all doing? Doing good? Doing great? Okay. I feel everyone is waiting for the day to start, and I'm happy to know that we are starting with our my subject, especially the subject bio. Okay, welcome, dears. So let's start our day. Last class we were dealing with microorganisms, right? We started with the chapter microorganisms, and I told you that it is divided into different groups. I hope you all went through the text, and you have gone through the note also. And there were different examples, different groups like bacteria. Example, rod-shaped bacteria, protozoa, like the amoeba, fungi, spirogyra, okay, chlamydomonas, and then we have these are the different groups and the examples. I hope you have gone through all that. There are diagrams in your text. You don't have to worry so much now, but just you should know these different type of microorganisms. Then we learned about where the habitat is. I mean, where they are normally. It is actually there everywhere. Okay, now what we are facing, because what the pandemic situation happening now is because of our dear coronavirus. It's not dear, but it has created a lot of confusions, a lot of problems, and really created a havoc all over the world. Then we talked about microorganisms that are useful to us and that are harmful to us. In both ways we have talked. And I mentioned, so we were doing with the beneficial microorganisms, or the organisms that do help us, and I said our two favorites, that is the one which we have the formation of the curd microorganism that helps the formation of the curd was Lactobacillus bulgaricus. I told you don't worry about bulgaricus, you have to just worry about Lactobacillus, the spelling, especially it helps the formation of curd. And did you guys check out about this? Did you ask your mom to do this or to help you out? I don't know how many of you have did this process. Oh, I see somebody did try. Okay, thank you. And then I told you to try out the next microorganism, that is the yeast, right? I did tell you that. Okay, thank you. That's enough. Now be attentive, please. You don't have to raise your hands. Let's move on. And about the yeast, I told you to try out to make the dough and put up the yeast powder, and you see how it rises up. That is one way. To know more, and we said about fermentation. And we said about the commercial use of yeast. Why I'm telling this, I'm trying, children, I don't want you to raise your hands. Please be along with me and be attentive. Don't get distracted. I don't want to give out names because it will be heard by to all, so don't do it. Then we said about the commercial use of yeast in the production of alcohol and wine. Okay, the process of fermentation happens there. Then I just gave an example of what has been done at home. As such, the appam, what are the favorite appam and the egg curry we have every day, not every day, maybe most of the days, and how that process of the batter formed in appam is because of the yeast. There is an activity as such in your text. Okay, the fermentation where it is given, there's an activity. You can take a glass, and you can fill with half a ml of, you can have half a glass of water. You can put up sugar in it, maybe 1 tablespoon of sugar, and a little, maybe a teaspoon of yeast powder. Leave it aside for hours, maybe 4 to 5 hours. After that, you can see, or you can smell the solution or whatever is formed. You will smell it like it is like alcohol. So what happened in this activity, what happened was the process of fermentation had happened. Okay, the process of conversion of sugar by yeast. Okay, that has happened because there was sugar and the yeast reacted with sugar, and the process, such a process called fermentation, underwent in this. Try it out and you will understand, you will know how the smell of alcohol is. So when we said about fermentation last class, here you should know, you can see two great scientists in front of you now. So we are going forward with the useful microorganisms, okay? So Louis Pasteur discovered fermentation in 1857. If you have been asked who discovered fermentation, you must be able to answer Louis Pasteur, or you can pronounce any way you want, but it is better you say Louis Pasteur. Discovered fermentation in 1857. Now we are going to learn about the useful, again, how these microorganisms are useful to us. Microorganisms are also useful to us in the production of antibiotics. Certain microorganisms, okay, certain microorganisms are used in the production of antibiotics, okay. Here, like fungi and bacteria. They are specific microorganisms like them are made in the lab, and they are used to make what is called antibiotics like penicillin, streptomycin, okay, tetracycline. Antibiotics, I'm sure, is not a new word for you. These antibiotics, who gives us antibiotics? Who gives us antibiotics? Who? The doctors. When we fall sick, and 1 or 2 days fine, they say take it up with Calpol, you can do it, the fever will go. But when a stage comes that the doctors say, no, we have to start with antibiotics. And they give vitamin tablets along with it. And antibiotics we have to take accordingly how the doctor prescribes. Here now, the source of antibiotics such as penicillin is a microorganism. So how it is made, how this antibiotic is made with the help of microorganisms. Now, the antibiotics are manufactured growing specific microorganisms and are used to cure a variety of diseases. So the antibiotics which are manufactured by growing specific microorganisms, like fungi, bacteria, they are used to cure a variety of diseases. Antibiotics, there are different types of antibiotics. When you have a tummy problem and it creates diarrhea, you have an antibiotic. You have sore throat and you can't even open your mouth and you yell, oh my God, I can't even open my mouth because of the throat pain and this sore throat. Immediately they give you antibiotics. So for everything antibiotics are there. So how the antibiotics are made? With the help of the microorganism. That is why I said microorganisms can be useful as well as beneficial as well as harmful. So let's move on. Now, not only for us, antibiotics are given. Okay? Antibiotics are given even to our cattle field, to the cattle or to the livestock, the cows, the buffaloes, so that they also are prone to get infections by microorganisms. So they are given in their food. So antibiotics are even mixed up with the feed of livestock and poultry. Poultry are the chickens. All those poultry, they come into that to check microbial infection in animals. Antibiotics are given in that. They are used, and they are also used, can you believe it? They are also used to control many plant diseases. So you see where all antibiotics are used. Now, see, antibiotics are used in a positive way. Now, antibiotics can be used in a negative way. You see, our chickens, you have heard, hormones being injected, or antibiotic such solutions are injected to have chubby chickens for us to eat. Okay, do you know that? They say, my God, the chickens are being injected with antibiotics, they're injected so that they look so fresh, and they say that you have to be very careful in purchasing such things, such chickens for us at home. So there are positive ways also dealing with antibiotics, and as well as there are negative ways of dealing with antibiotics. Now here I've given, it is there in a text as such, antibiotics are produced from bacteria and fungi, like which are the antibiotics? Streptomycin, tetracycline, and erythromycin. I'm sure in your, in the prescription which a doctor gives, such names are there, but we won't be able to read, or in the antibiotic box which you get, the strip, or sometimes it comes in a box, you can see the name, like, erythromycin or streptomycin or tetracycline. You have to know two names. If I say name two antibiotics, you are supposed to know this. Maybe a spelling a little here and there, but please learn it. Streptomycin can come. Penicillin, it's easy to remember. Tetracycline might be a little difficult, or erythromycin. You just learn two antibiotics, because name two antibiotics, such questions can come over. Okay? I hope all of you are with me, and you are with the antibiotics portion where I'm teaching. So let's move on. Now, when doctor gives antibiotics to you, and they will tell you, either your parents will be there with you. You cannot even open your mouth. You are dead sick. You feel like, as if the world has come to an end. Okay, what the doctor says. Take up the antibiotic. Suppose at 9 o'clock you have the antibiotic at 9 in the morning. You should have the next antibiotic by 9. Means 9 in the night. You cannot take antibiotic in between unless the doctor prescribes. That's very important. You cannot take an antibiotic and eat like your Dairy Milk chocolate, or eat like the Galaxy chocolates, okay? You cannot eat like all those antibiotics. You have to be very, very careful when you eat it. The time should be followed, because when these antibiotics, they enter our body, it takes time to go and then, fight with the or whatever disease we have. It takes time for it. We should never delay, as well as we should not take early. That is why doctor says, when they prescribe according to the mg, they say take this at this time, and then the next time. You cannot gobble antibiotics like you gobble an ice cream. Okay? Gobble means you cannot swallow just like that. For the antibiotics, you have seen, my God, the tabs, either tabs or through drip injections, my God. There is a stage, I think most of you must have underwent. Antibiotics are, yes, okay. Antibiotics are being injected through our vein. When we go in the hospital, we cannot take in. If you have a sore throat and you're sick, Rama, I can't swallow. What happens? Your parents, immediately what they do, they take you to the hospital, make you lie down there, and 2 hands with the injection drip. Through the drip, why they give drip to, for you to become a little more, better. You're already weak, to remove the weakness from you away. And they inject these antibiotics. So in a solution form also, there are antibiotics, as well as you have like in tablets or capsules. All that you have antibiotics. Now here, we can just look at the slide. Antibiotics should be taken only in the advice of a qualified doctor, very important. If we take antibiotics when not required or in wrong doses, it make the drug less effective. Overuse will also kill beneficial bacteria in the body. Now, when you take if you overuse the antibiotic, what happens? Doctors say, children, you should not, they'll tell your amma or your dad, he should not take antibiotic in empty stomach, right? I'm sure most of you must have heard that. Why? Because it is a high dose tablet going into your body, so you should eat something and then only have it. If you have it without having any food and you just take antibiotic, my God, you will have a lot of gastric problems, stomach pain, you'll feel the world is going to end there, so that bad it is. So always remember, when you take antibiotic, you should have some food. I know it is not possible when you're sick, you don't feel like eating. That is why some doctors, what do? They give vitamin tablets, so that because the food intake will be less. So they say, okay, at least the vitamin will enter, so the weakness will be moved off, and you'll feel a bit more better and healthier. So you have to be very careful. And then one more thing, when you overtake, this antibiotics, if you over-intake antibiotics, there are beneficial bacteria in us that will also get destroyed, that will also be killed. Then one more thing, antibiotics are not at all effective against diseases caused by viruses. That is a part of it, antibiotics, I know, when we, see, one thing you must understand, when we get viral fever, have you noticed, the viral fever just goes off within 5 days. If you don't even take antibiotic, you go to the doctor, you have viral fever, you have flu and all, you say that, but the truth is that within 5 days, you are done and you are back to your health. That is how the cold, whatever you get. But for our satisfaction, we immediately go to the doctor, have the antibiotics. But what they say is, antibiotics are not effective against disease caused by virus. In that case, corona, they should have already found an antibiotic. They should have already found a thing for, to kill off these coronaviruses. Sad, let's hope the best. Let's see that they develop something soon and, get rid of this coronavirus or COVID-19. That's the saddest part. But you must understand, antibiotics are not effective against disease caused by viruses. That you must know. So I hope you have understood this. Okay, antibiotics, what are antibiotics, and how questions like this can come. What are the points you have to remember, or what precautions should be taken while taking antibiotics? So you should be able to answer this. Now, next we are going to deal about what is called vaccine. Now, vaccine is also being discovered or found by Edward Jenner. That is coming. I'll be showing who it is. Edward Jenner. Okay, and the other one I told you, Louis Pasteur, that one, and the antibiotics who've done is Alexander Fleming. Here we have vaccine, that is Edward Jenner, that's coming up, I will show you. Here, what is vaccine? Normally what happens, in each age when you are little, I'm sure you'll be having a card in which when you are little, till you have reached maybe 14, 13 years, written about, you have taken injections, or you have been vaccinated, you have taken vaccination for so-and-so diseases. I'm sure if you have not noticed that, please check out, ask your parents to show you that. I do have my son's vaccination, small little book where he has been vaccinated. Okay? Now, when vaccination has been taken, you must understand different places have different types because it depends on how the place is. Now, where I have or where my son has taken, I was there, I was born and brought up in Abu Dhabi, and the vaccination was not, we had vaccines to take, but not too many vaccines because the diseases there were less compared to here. In India, you have a lot of diseases. In fact, more number of organisms, microorganisms are more. So for different disease, we have to take. You just can check now. On your left hand, there is a mark. On your left hand, there's on the shoulder, down just below the shoulder, you have a mark, punch, like, a small patch. On your left hand, it is there. You have been vaccinated, is there. It has been there. You can check it out. Okay, I'm sure by now I have it. You can check. Now itself you can check. Just pull up your, whatever address you have. You can see. Yes. Okay, good. You have checked. Thank you. So you are being vaccinated. That you can find out only when you see the book, whichever diseases have been wiped. Here in this place, there are a lot of. Okay, children. Thank you. Can you stop raising your hands and come back to me? I don't want anyone to do. I understood that you checked. Thank you. Now we have here places like India, there are a lot of diseases. So for each disease, they say you have to vaccinate. Like you have to have vaccine, or you have to have polio drops, right? For the polio virus. So different diseases have different ways of vaccination, either by drops or by injections. So here what happens in a vaccine, how it reacts or how it works in our body. Well, here, when a disease-causing microorganism, we are vaccinated. That means when we are vaccinated, a dead, weakened microorganism has already entered our body. A dead, weakened microorganism. We have been vaccinated, I'm telling you. We have been vaccinated. A dead, weakened microorganism has entered our body. It is waiting. Okay? The vaccine, we have been vaccinated. Now, on the other side, our dear invader is coming. The disease microorganism is coming. There it comes. Waiting. Here on my left side, we are ready for the fight. The disease microorganism is coming. What these guys do, they enter. So we have been vaccinated. The weakened microorganism immediately produces what is called antibodies in our body. For what? To attack the disease-causing microorganism. Now you understood how did it work? There are so many points and lines in a book. Nothing to worry. Just it is like this. When we are vaccinated, vaccination is done to us. Inside our body, a dead or weakened microorganism has entered our body. So it is waiting for the disease microorganism, the invader. And what happens? When they get a signal, these guys are coming. They are coming to attack. The vaccine, which are dead, weakened microorganism, will produce. The body immediately produces the antibodies to fight the invader. Got me? So when a disease-carrying microbe enters our body, the body produces antibodies to fight the invader. Okay. Now, these antibodies remain in the body and we are protected from the disease microorganism. They are already there. Even if one disease microorganism, Vala 1 comes, don't worry, Vala 2 will also come. But even that also will be taken care. These guys will give them good by producing antibodies. I hope I made it simple. In the text it's given so many things, nothing will enter in your head. Okay, this is the way to learn it. Okay, so even if the second disease microorganism comes over, if it comes over, these guys are there because for that particular disease we have been vaccinated. Now for example, there are chicken pox. There are boosters for that. You cannot be vaccinated just once. There are, several stages for different age we should take that in boosters. So several diseases have different types. How many times you should take, you should follow that. Because I have not been taken with so many, as I said, in Gulf we don't have so many diseases. But unfortunately now our dear Corona is there also. Okay, in Gulf and India there are a lot of differences. There diseases are less, but here diseases are more. So we have to take the correct vaccination on time. But now, so sad, everywhere COVID-19 is there. Okay, let's move on. So what I've said, I've just given in the inlining. So if dead or weakened microbes are introduced in a healthy body, the body fights and kills them by producing suitable antibodies. Just what I said, I've just written in lines. Now what type and the diseases like cholera, tuberculosis, smallpox, hepatitis are prevented by vaccination. Name 2 diseases that can be prevented by vaccination, my dear children. You have to be ready to write. You cannot say, no ma'am, I forgot, I didn't know it was in the outer space. No, you have to learn at least 2 of them. Like I said, 2 antibiotics. In the same way, we have to know about diseases that are prevented by vaccination. So I hope you understood how vaccine works in us. Okay, and then I'm sure you must have heard in the TV, Modi, she said, Aaj polio hai, polio, so-and-so date you should have, and all that things come. I'm sure you must have, children should take polio. I'm sure our Prime Minister, he does, he prompts up with ads in different channels. So that is very important. If you don't take polio drops on time for the little ones, it will create lot of, health issues for the children. That from these, when they are young, for each age there is vaccination. You have to be vaccinated. And so that we don't fall and prey for the disease-causing microorganisms. I hope you have understood that. Then, and you know what, such vaccines are being, told by people, by media. They make it a point, the media make it a point to tell us that so-and-so date the children should be vaccinated, or so-and-so day the children should take polio drops, the little one should take polio drops. All this, the media does play a great role. All it is there in the newspaper. That's what I'm saying. Example, media like that also. Okay. Now I've just given a chart. You can see a chart like from birth you have to be vaccinated for hepatitis B. Then you have for each age we have been vaccinated. And you can see the drops, that is the main one. So sad, even if they miss the drops in that age where they have to be taken, you can see those kids are having a tough time. Instead of sitting and watch, Google when you go online, sitting and just wasting time at times, you can just go through all this and see what is if the child does not take the right time polio drops, what will happen. There are a lot of sad images, but you can know if you're not vaccinated, that such problems can occur in our health. So each age they have, when at the birth you should take 2 years, 4, 6. This is there. I'm sure your parents will be having a book. I do have for my son, and it is there. Now also I have, he's already in the 10th, but I still have whichever age he took, he was vaccinated or whatever he took, it is there. Please, if you can, don't trouble your parents and say, now itself, no, don't do that. Check out and ask them whether we have such a document or in a book. I had in a small, small document, not document, it's a small book. We had, the child was given, this vaccine, so and so age, and then, so it normally till at the age of 16, we'll be having. Then as I said, India is full of diseases, so we are being prone to have all this vaccine at so-and-so age. So I've just given, how it is done, 2, 4, 6, 12, 18, and then again we have. So each diseases have been, they will let us know when to take the vaccination. And I told you, our dear Edward Jenner, I said he discovered the vaccine for smallpox in 1798. So these 3 scientists which I've said, one the Louis Pasteur, Alexander Fleming, antibiotics. Here Edward Jenner discovered vaccine. Don't get confused. Don't give for the Alexander Fleming for vaccine and vaccine for Edward Jenner for this. Learn it correctly. These are teacher favorites. Okay, so you should know this. Okay, learn it correctly. It is there in a text. I thought, I can, those who are not, reading text, at least they will go through this. So here it is vaccine by Edward Jenner. Now we are continuing the beneficial microorganisms. Okay, here now beneficial microorganisms. Now whatever waste we have in the kitchen waste, I mean at home, your parents that have a lot of vegetables, the waste of vegetables and blah blah, a lot of things. Not plastics, the waste, the kitchen waste where they have the food they make. There'll be waste obviously. So what do they do here? Now here also our dear microorganism, they play a great role. So you must imagine they are playing and helping us out. So here what happens, I've just given a picture. Now you must be under, oh, this one my father, oh, this one my mother does every time. Okay, that is why I've given this image. This has been done, most of you know, but most of you might not know. Because in flats and all, I don't think you'll be knowing this. At homes, yes, they do this. That is why I got the picture here. Okay, here what happens, these are organic waste. Now, like what I said, vegetable peels or remains of animals, etc. So many are there. Not plastics, not the ones which does not degrade. Okay, the ones like this, the waste which is done, after cooking, there'll be a lot of waste, that one. Here what happens, these organic, we call it organic waste, are broken down into manure. Okay, manure, I'm sure you must be knowing now, you must not say, oh my God, manure. No, we know that, we have done the last chapter, by harmless and usable aerobic bacteria. Okay, this organic waste is being broken down into manure that is required by plants by harmless and usable aerobic bacteria. Now you must be wondering what is aerobic bacteria. See, here bacteria, they respire. With the help, aerobic we say, we connect it with respiration. Aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic is with oxygen. Anaerobic is without oxygen. So here our dear bacteria, with the help of oxygen, they do this process. They help in the conversion of organic waste into manure. I hope you have understood this. This is nothing. This is also one use. Whatever I'm telling, we are talking about beneficial microorganism. Now, microorganism is used in agriculture. Here, microorganism plays a great role in agriculture. Now, this is nitrate fixation. We have learned about the rhizobacterium bacteria, a dear rhizobacterium bacteria. Where is it? It is present, we have mentioned the previous chapter, in the root nodules of leguminous plants. So we are going to deal about it, and further we'll be dealing about nitrogen cycle, and all this is coming into that. So here we have microorganism used in agriculture. Now some bacteria or blue-green algae, they help in nitrogen fixation, or they are also called as biological nitrogen fixers. It's coming up. So here we are saying about what is nitrogen fixation. What happens in nitrogen fixation? From here it's very important because nitrogen cycle is also coming into it. So you have to be with me. Nitrogen fixation is a process. It's a process how? By which a molecule of nitrogen, you don't worry about molecule, just by which nitrogen in the air. We have 78% of nitrogen in the air. Now what happens to it? Nitrogen in the air is converted to a compound called ammonia or related nitrogenous compounds. So anything, nitrogen gets along with air and they form things like ammonia or related. We'll be learning more when we go for the nitrogen cycle. Or related nitrogen compounds in the soil. What will happen to increase the soil fertility? This process is happening there. So nitrogen, it combines in the air. It is there. Nitrogen combines with oxygen. So it is converted into ammonia and related nitrogenous compounds in soil that will increase the soil fertility. So this process is happening there. Now here I've told you now, so you can see, nitrogen fixation is carried out by microorganisms, or also called as biological nitrogen fixers, like blue-green algae, Bacterium, our dear rhizobium, my favorite rhizobium, in leguminous plants such as beans and peas. You can see over there in the root, it is present in the root nodules, the rhizobium bacteria, and the process we will learn further when we are going a little more in the nitrogen cycle. This you have to know, that some of the algae like blue-green algae or bacterium like rhizobium, also called as biological nitrogen fixers. If I ask you, name 2 biological nitrogen fixers, you should be able to answer. Okay, they also play the nitrogen fixation process is carried out by such microorganisms. The main one which will always come into your head is the rhizobium in the leguminous plants, such as, what are the leguminous plants? Beans and peas. We have done the previous chapter about this. You can see the picture also I've given for easy understanding. Now, how do they react? The bacterium and the plant, they have something called symbiotic relation. This is not there in your text, but I want to know how they become buddies. Okay, they become friends. Okay, the bacteria and the plant, and they have a good relationship, a symbiotic. We cannot say friendship, but another relation called symbiotic. This is not there in text, but I want you to know it. What is happening? Why do this? You must be wondering why they have to go do and how this process happens. So bacterium and the plant is having a symbiotic relationship. Both plant and the bacterium gets benefited. Both of them, they get benefited. How? The plants get usable nitrogen, the plant, from ammonia, that is in the process, and bacteria receives organic acid from the plant to use as a food source. Both, you don't have to go out of way, you can just understand both are benefited. The bacterium and the plant, and they have a symbiotic relationship. Means both. I'm sure you must have heard this word, symbiosis or symbiotic relationship. I'm sure this is not new for you guys. So I just want you to know how they are benefited, or what is happening. Both plant and bacterium gets benefited in this process. That's what I've said. The plants, they get nitrogen from the ammonia, what is made in the process, and the bacteria gets the organic acid from the plant. So here, both of them become buddies. You give me that, and I give you this. That's all in this. Okay? That is what is happening. This we are telling about microorganism used in agriculture. Now this has already been mentioned. Our farmers, they use the nitrogen fixation method like the rotation of crops. This is already mentioned. We know this. Remember I said the farmers in North India, they normally use the crop rotation. That is one wheat in one season, the other one legumes in other season. Okay, to have this, because to increase soil fertility or not to lose the soil fertility. So because of nitrogen fixation, farmers do rotation of crops after the main crop, then they cultivate leguminous plant. Wheat, then leguminous. They do it alternately, like accordingly they do it. Because of this process, you can see a picture there I've given, how it is nitrogen in the air, they get this thing, and the biological nitrogen happens, decomposes, they play growth, get nitrogen, and then it is absorbed by plants. You can see it is like a cycle as such. And there are, a crop residue, any remains that falls, that also is decomposed by microorganisms. You can just see how it is easily done. Nitrogen in the air, then biological nitrogen fixation happens here, then decomposition by our deer decomposes, and anything left over of the crop plant comes down, that also they decompose by decomposes, and then it is come back to nitrogen and it is taken by plants. That is how it goes as a cycle. So I've just made this picture like this so that you know it will be easier for you to understand. So our dear farmers, they do rotation of crops or crop rotation to have the soil fertility, or as he said, if he keeps on growing crops unnecessarily, the soil, the fertility will decrease. So this is going on what microorganism used in agriculture. Here, with this, the nitrogen cycle, we can do it in the next class. Here we have the last, nitrogen gets fixed here also through the action of lightning. You can see I've given a picture. Even lightning, what happens during a thunderstorm, when the thunderstorm comes, okay, the energy from the lightning causes atmospheric nitrogen. There is nitrogen, I said, in the air, 78%. That will react with oxygen to form nitrates. This has been explained in our nitrogen cycle. You don't have to worry, but this you have to know. So the energy from the lightning causes what? The atmospheric nitrogen, which is 78% is there, nitrogen in the air, that will react with oxygen to form, what is it? Nitrates, the compounds of nitrogen. And what happens? These nitrates, whatever is formed, it is dissolved in the rainwater, dissolve the rainwater to reach the soil, and the plants absorb it through the roots. This is there in your nitrogen cycle, which we will do it in the next class, because so many things you might, it might go out of your head. So I just want you to know, so that when I discuss nitrogen cycle in the next class, you should have an idea about this. So I hope you have understood this, okay, that during a thunderstorm, energy from the lightning causes atmospheric nitrogen or nitrogen in the air to react with oxygen to form nitrates, and these nitrates are dissolved in the rainwater to reach the soil and plants, and it's absorbed by the roots. So for today, this much is enough. I have done with the antibiotics. I recalled the previous what we learned. Then vaccine, how it is given, or how it works in our body. How you have to take antibiotics. You cannot just gobble like an ice cream. You take an antibiotic tablet. You cannot eat like an ice cream. So you have to be careful. Then how vaccination, how important it is for us. Then how the microorganisms are used in agriculture. How they're beneficial for us. And I've given a short thing about nitrogen and nitrogen fixation. That will continue in the next class.